Let's get her started. Hello everybody, welcome to another live stream. I'm going to do some live coding in this stream. I'm just going to work on Sakai. I'm mostly going to ignore the chat. But if, hang on, boop, boom. Let's put me in the lower right. That's a good place to put me. Okay, so we're working on a bug here. And it has, grades aren't kind of going in. There are two places in Sakai where grades go to. Let me go ahead and log out. And we're slowly but surely kind of merging these things together. But there's the assignments tool, and the assignments tool has these assignments and all this complex workflow. And then there is the grade book. And so some things like are in the assignments tool, and you kind of manage the grades in the assignments tool. They grade things, they release them, etc., etc., etc. And so the problem that we're facing is for a tool that is an LTI 1.1 tool that's sending grades, and if those grades are going into assignments, it's working to go to gradebook, but if those grades are going into assignments, then LTI 1.1 grades, some of the workflow inside of assignments is not right. So Andrea did a great job, so let's take a look at her video.
I'm on Trunk and working with assignments and the LTI tools, and 1.1 does not show any. Show 1.3 because it does work reasonably well.
So she's showing 1.3 right now, and so you'll see that the submissions go in, there's all this stuff that's in the UI, and so
okay, I'm going to enter a grade, update, and once I go back to the list, you can see my grade is there.
Right.
Now if I go to 1.1, as you can see, it says submission not started, and both of these users submitted, or both of these students. And I have the grader here. So something is broken for 1.1. Everything I did was identical, it's just the LTI version was different. They're both from the store. And as I said, both you.
So there might be a couple of things that are a little bit weird. So let's go after it. So the first thing I want to do is I want to make the simplest of assignments. That's an LTI assignment. Simple LTI. Make it an LTI tool. Choose this tool. I'm going to go to this LTI 1.1 tool only. That's the simplest tool I've got. And I'm going to insert it. So that's cool. Sure, LTI 1.1 tool only. We'll allow resubmission because that's good, and give it an infinite number of resubmissions. There's another bug, some subtle bug on that. And we're going to make it 100 points and create a new gradebook item. Let's see if we got that. So here we go, LTI 1.1 tool only. Let's go back to list. Now I'm going to open up a new browser, and I'm going to go in as Nancy Drew number 1 and go in there, and I'm going to go do an assignment. Well, let's go see what the instructor, here we go. Let's go see what the instructor sees when they see the grading view. Okay, no submission, not started. Okay, so let's go become Nancy Drew. Go to the external tool, and we're going to just send a grade, 0.95. I like this one because it's like the simplest thing. One thing about LTI 1.1 is it's like XML based. You can kind of see all this weird stuff, but that's how it works. Let's take a look, see if we got any. No messages. I might want to turn debugging on some of these classes. I may do that in the next time I reboot Sakai. But it looks like it came back. Where does it say success? It's set at 200. So I think it went there. I think it was successful. Oh, here we go. Yeah, major success. Okay, so from LTI's perspective, we think we've got it. So now let's go back to the teacher and go into the assignments and go into the tool only. And okay, now that's weird. That looks right. It's been graded and it's got a 95. Okay, so that's the simple test that I do, and that's okay. So I think that that somehow we've got to release those grades or something. Release grades. Let's release them all. So now it should be in the grade book. Let's see if it's there. Yeah, so it's released. Okay, so now it shows up in the grade book. I'm always confused. I don't use assignments tool much as a teacher. So that simple tool worked. Okay, so that's interesting. So this might actually be a bug in the sticky grader, because what she was showing in this was this thing that's called the sticky grader, and she might, so that might be confusing here. So who knows? Maybe it's working. Wouldn't that be crazy? But we'll put a sticky grader in. We'll make an assignment that plays with a sticky grader. Oop, that's the student view. Let's go back to teacher view. Let's add an assignment. It'll change it. Let's make it an LTI 1.1. So she was using the grader. And let's go to the LTI 1.1 store. And let's go find the sticky grader. I'm going to call this sticky grader 1.1. And we're going to go 100 points. Resubmission. Unlimited. So there we go. I don't know. There we go. Okay, so I got sticky grader 1.1. Now let's go into here. So that says no submission not started, which is exactly what she was showing us in her world. So let's go to sticky grader 1.1 as Nancy and make a submission. Go to external tool. We're going to browse. This, where is that? We're going to submit it. Okay, so this is my little sticky grader. You know, this is supposed to be a place that teachers put sticky notes on, and now the teacher. Okay, so there's no submission, it's not started. But unfortunately, the problem there is LTI 1.1 doesn't have a concept of a submission. LTI 1.1, the only thing it's capable of doing is sending a grade. And so she's expecting, because the submission happened in LTI 1.1, there is a way to send a grade. The question is, and so this is like, This is a thing where you notice that the student has sent a submission. We saw it in LTI 1.3. So the question becomes, I mean, really, this is not a Sakai thing at this point, because Sakai has gotten no data from this tool. So there's no way that Sakai could change this. And then, but if you go into here, oh wait, who are we? We're Nancy Drew. Are we Nancy Drew 3? No, we are Nancy Drew 1. Nancy Drew 1 has a submission. And now we can, oh, but that doesn't have that kind of a special launch either. And now if I go 0.95 and update it as the teacher, let's go back into gradebook now. And not gradebook, go back into assignments and look at sticky grader 1.1. It's graded, but there is no submission. And so the problem there is sticky grader has no way of knowing about the submission. I mean, there's no, sticky grader could send something, but LTI 1.1 you tend to send only when you got a grade, not when something is started. And so this notion that there would be a submission that would be hand graded is not well suited for LTI 1.1. So the question is do I mean, there's no submission not started, but that really means no submission that Sakai knows about. So far we haven't got a bug. We might come up with a situation where a feature, or we could put a better message here. I mean, what I really want to say here is like, this is an LTI 1.1 tool, and as such it gives no indication of submissions. Because that submitted date, that was when I sent the grade. I graded it as the teacher. Yeah, I don't know how this is going to work. Because one of the thoughts we've had is just not allowing LTI 1.1 tools and for assignments. And that's because they're just funky. Shoot, I was hoping to fix a bug. But so far it looks like it's not a bug. It's an LTI 1.1 thing. Okay, well, folks, I'm sorry to disappoint you. So I need to tell Andrea. Hi, everybody. What I just clicked, what I click. Okay, so Andrew, I did some more testing. No way within the LTI 1.1 standard to indicate that there is a ready to grade submission. Like the way sticky grader works. So even if those are submission in the tool, the SIM tool will never know about the submission and say no, submission not started. Of course, if you as the teacher guess and go in and cause a grade to be sent, it's probably marked as graded once the grade is received. It's not a bug per se, but it's indeed misleading. We could make a different status when nothing's been received. If it's an LTI 1.1 tool, we could, instead of no submission, say not started or not yet graded, or a tricky way to be recorded when the student does the LTI launch and put that status in, like tool, student launch tool or something like that. We should talk this over in a QA meeting. Yeah, it's certainly misleading the way it works, because it's got text that says something very positively, which is not true. You know, there might be a submission or there might not be a submission, but this whole no submission not started, if it just changed it to launch happened, then that would be kind of useful. So let me get back with her and see what she thinks about that. And that whole idea of going from no submission not started to launch happened, that would be useful for LTI 1.3 as well. And so it would go through a phase where it's like not started, no submission not started, to, you know, launched at least once. And then if there is a LTI 1.3 and there is a submission, it'll say it here. But you could say, oh, it was launched, and then you would go into Nancy Drew, and then you could go and figure out what's going on here, and then go into Nancy Drew and start sending scores. So that's where it's at. Sorry, I didn't find a bug to fix. I guess that's how these things go sometimes. That's how bugs go. So I'm kind of done. Let me go take a look at the chat. Pop the chat out. Pop up chat. And let me bring the chat over here so I can read it. Is this the software the Coursera is based on? No, this is the Sakai project, yeah. Sakai is a learning management like Canvas and Blackboard and Desire to Learn. It's an open source project, and I'm one of the leaders of it. Can you see the source code? You could. You could see the source code if there was I would have gone in and looked at code like this. I'll show you some source code. Let me switch to the other screen. The place I thought this was going to be in, I thought it was going to be a real tiny fix to this code I'm about to show you, but that code is not broken. So so here's some of the source code. The whole thing is in this GitHub repo called Sakai Project Sakai, and I'm down deep in this basic LTI folder. So, and this is Java code and handle grade, I think. So this code here is the code that I thought was going to be not working right, because this code here has to decide. It's the code that's receiving that that web service to put a grade into Sakai from this external tool. And so it's doing a bunch of stuff here, and it's trying to figure out if this is if this grade has got to be routed to assignments, and if it's going to be routed to the gradebook. And so that's kind of what it's doing here. Is it a gradebook? Is it a gradebook column? Is it an assignment column? Blah, 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 blah. And then it has to set up a few things and figure out the numbers. And then there is somewhere in here, there's status that gets put in here, etc., etc., etc. And I thought that there might be a little bit of a code mistake in here. Let's see if there's a status somewhere. Not that one. Let's see if there's a word progress in here somewhere. can't see the bottom of the screen. Boom. Let's see. Yeah, so it's doing things like this submitted. Let's see if there's a submitted. Yeah. So it's doing all kinds of things, right? This is the states that LTI 1.3 is capable of sending to us. And then I've got to map those into what I tell the assignments tool. But if it's the assignments tool, assignments has a state, which surprisingly maps very close to what, it's not that hard for me to map this incoming web service to the way Sakai models the data internally. And so, and this is my little table of how I did all this stuff. And I thought I was going to find a flaw in this code. That's the code I thought I was going to find a flaw in. And there you go. So there is no flaw. It's like the matrix. So yeah, there's the source code. And if I'd have actually fixed a bug, it would have been a much more fun. So let's see. Coursera site seemed broken. Yeah. What's broken about this Coursera site? I don't know what the Coursera site is broken. I need to know when the Coursera site is broken, especially my parts of it, so that I can fix it, because that always is one of my highest priorities. So, okay. Well, I will take off. This is like only 35 minutes, and I will say goodbye to everybody, and thanks for coming by. It wasn't the most exciting bug fix, so see you in the next live. But I'm getting to bug fixing, so if you see a few, I'll find some bugs and I will actually fix them.